Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's so good to be with you. Today I want to help prepare you for your return to work after parental leave. And I coach parents professionally. I work with moms and dads in lots of different countries, which means I'm aware that your version of parental leave could look a lot different than your friends who lives across the country or across the ocean. I am American. I live in California, though right now I'm in New York City, and it is 1,000,000 degrees and I am sweating so much. I'm so grateful that there is a screen keeping us apart right now because I'm a sticky lady. But what I can tell you is that here in the States, I often run into families who are dealing with very short parental leave, and it may or may not be paid. It's not awesome. Some people are feeling like they're being thrust into a work life way faster than they feel ready for, and I want to be able to speak to you. And then some of you watching are living in countries where you have a pretty long parental leave and you're probably getting paid, and your partner actually might be getting paid for their parental leave as well. I love that. And what I also can tell you is that there are some pretty universal feelings surrounding this transition, whether you're super supported or you're really not supported at all. Obviously, if a parent or a family is supported, if they feel emotionally supported, they're connected, they've got the resources they need, they're going to be doing better than a family who's not. So I recognize that. But if you're watching this video, you are probably feeling a bit uneasy about this change and you want it to go well. And I'm super passionate about seeing parents thrive both at home and at work. I kind of feel like, what's the point if you are super successful at work but your home life is falling apart? You don't have your people to celebrate that win with. But also, if your family life is doing awesome and you can't provide for yourselves, there's an underlying stress to that that just steals from every other part of your life. So I want to see you go back to work and really excel. And then I want to see you also excel in your relationships with your family and friends, the people who mean the most to you. So today I'm going to talk to you about some of the practical things you can do to get ready for work, and then also some of the mental, like internal stuff that's going to make this transition as easy as it can be. Feel free to make this video a drinking game. I think I'm going to say the word transition way too many times. So like if you got a water bottle near you, maybe drink every time I say the word transition. Or if it's nighttime and you're hanging out with friends and you want to watch this video just for a good time, then you could drink something else. But not encouraging bad habits here. Psychologically, even an awesome transition, even a dream come true, you marry the love of your life, you have the baby you always wanted, you move to a city you're excited about, or you move into the home you've been dreaming of, even the best transitions in our life come with emotional lows. They come with challenges, they come with unmet expectations. And a lot of the work I do is just reminding parents like you that you are not crazy. I think so many of you walk around feeling like you are uniquely bad at this. I'm the one who can't seem to figure life out, and everybody else has it and I don't. And I just want to tell you that even if on paper you have every reason to be happy, it is very likely that you are not going to be entirely happy as you make this switch back to work. You might. In fact, this morning I posted online asking people to give me advice that I could pass to you about returning to work after having a baby. And one friend texted me and said, please tell them it will be better than they think. This friend works in a very high pressure job, so does her husband. They have 3 children, and she said the anxiety leading up to going back to work was actually harder than the return to work itself. So that's great news, and I really believe in that. But I just want to tell you that even if you are looking at your life going, well, I'm supported and I like my job and I can't figure out why I don't feel good, you just still might not feel good. I want you to give yourself a grace period. You know, like when a baby is transitioning to a crib, or maybe a little one is transitioning out of a crib into a toddler bed. I'm trying to speak parenting language because you might understand this. There's always a period of time where everybody needs to adjust, right? That's what experts would tell you, is give it a few weeks where you can really adjust. Or like a child adjusting to a new childcare or preschool, they would say give it a month, give it 6 weeks so you can really figure out if this is the right fit for you. I want to say the same thing to you. As you're making this transition back to work, give yourself time to feel normal. You have been through so many major changes in the last year. This is another one, and it would be normal for you to not feel your best, at least in the beginning. I'm hoping that you will. I'm going to try and set you up to feel good. But if you feel bad, you don't need to spiral. You don't need to feel like something's wrong with you, but we do need to get you some help and support, okay? The other thing I want to say is there are very likely going to be days where you feel like you fell on your butt, where you showed up to a meeting and you didn't have everything you needed, or you showed up to drop your child off at whoever was taking care of them and you forgot the bag that you needed, or you didn't bring the snacks that you need, or if you're breastfeeding or pumping, maybe you left a part at home. This is so normal. You know, when you watch a little baby learn how to walk, they're gonna fall on their butt so many times, and that is part of the learning experience. So for you to go back to work as this new person that you are, now that you have this child or these children, it's okay if there are moments where you fall flat and then go, oh, all right, cool. There it was. There's the thing that the lady on the internet told me about. You just stand back up and you keep moving. Hormones also are gonna play a role. If I'm talking to any moms who have grown their babies, delivered their babies, breastfeeding their babies, or they're weaning their babies, gosh, your hormones, they're just doing a lot of stuff inside of you, and it can make you feel out of control. So you are not crazy, but I want you to give yourself so much patience and grace and like the space to adapt to this new life. I found personally in my own life, I have 3 kids and I worked every time I had my children. Gosh, the more I resisted my new life, the more I tried to be who I was before and sort of pretended that everything would be fine, you know, like the fake it till you make it thing. The more I did that, the harder it was for me. What I really needed was outlets for me to be my actual self. So I needed a therapist at some point, I needed a coach at some point, I needed friends, parent friends. That was a really big help for me that I resisted in the beginning. When I had my first daughter, I thought to myself, I don't really need parent friends because I'm already so much of a mom. I don't really want to get lost in motherhood. I would rather pursue opportunities outside of parenthood to help remind me of who I am, right? But my husband and I were talking about this recently because what we learned over time was that if you don't have a place where you can talk about the parenting stuff of your life, which is really a 24/7 element of your life, then it bleeds out into other areas. It will bleed out into your work life in ways that interrupt you and you don't really want them to. So if you can have very intentional relationships where you're able to talk through the different things you're learning or the stuff you're doing or the weird poop thing that's going on with your baby and you're trying to figure it out, if you have an outlet for that, then you will feel much more free to be all of the other parts of your identity, like your working self and your social self and your super hot fitness self or whatever your self is. You need a place to go with some of these complicated feelings surrounding becoming a parent. I would say even having a safe place to go with thoughts that are confusing to you. I know you've probably been around the internet for a while, so you've heard about like intrusive thoughts that moms have, or dads have them too, of like, oh my gosh, I just can't get out of my head that I might drop the baby. Or some of you return to work and suddenly you have a crush on a person that you would never normally have a crush on, and it doesn't really make logical sense. If you have a safe place to go with that thought, to be able to say like, this happened to me, and then someone to tell you, oh yeah, that's quite normal. Here's why that might have happened. Here's what you can do with that energy to strengthen your relationship with your partner and your relationship with your kids. Then it doesn't make it so crazy. It takes the shock and the sting out of it, and your life is much less likely to self-destruct, okay? That's friendly guidance from a friend that you don't know. Let's make this practical. Before you return to work, you're gonna wanna contact your employer or your manager or your HR person to just find out, how does this normally go for people? One question I would love for you to ask is there flexibility in how I return? Often I find parents returning to work midweek, so Wednesday or Thursday instead of Monday. So they dip their toes in the work week, and then they have the weekend to regroup, and then their first week is the following one. Other parents ask if they can begin part-time. Some jobs will let you start at home and then you transition back into an office. Obviously, I don't know what your work life looks like, and so this is gonna be very specific to you, but you'll just wanna ask, what do you guys do for parents? How do parents normally do this? What I've found is that a lot of workplaces want to support parents, but they've never done it before and they don't have anybody leading the initiative. So as much as you can be forward about communicating your requests or your needs, you might be very pleasantly surprised at how people want to help accommodate you. I would also suggest that you ask, is there anybody else here who is a working parent that you could go and talk to and ask what their experience was like? I found that if you have a friend, even just one friend, can make a world of difference. And if you have someone that you could talk to about this transition, could make it easier. Now, a lot of times people tell me that they don't want to do that because it's like exposing their weakness. They don't want to be the person who needs help from anybody at the office. But I just think vulnerability is really powerful, and unless you're working in a super toxic environment, which you might be, it's possible, you could be somebody who would invite other people to be more vulnerable and more open about their actual life, and that could actually enhance the culture of your workplace and make your job a more enjoyable place to be. I recommend doing a couple practice runs before your first day of work. So if you know that your schedule is going to be shifting on a Wednesday, maybe over the weekend or even on Monday, you guys all get ready at the time that you would normally do it to leave for work, and instead of going to work, you go do an outing together. Or if you could drop the little one off at the childcare place and then you go out and just do something for yourself, great. But I just don't recommend that the very first day of work is the first day that you're trying out this new schedule. I think that adds too much stress for you, and it would be easier if you could have some practice. Some of the mental and emotional shifts that I wish more people talked about include these feelings of like guilt and grief around leaving the baby. I have heard from lots of parents that the best thing you can do if you have to leave the baby but you don't feel ready is ensure that the childcare that you are choosing for your baby feels really safe and comfortable. As hard as it's going to be to say goodbye to this little one for the period of time that you're away, you don't want to doubt their ability to care for this child, right? You want to feel sure that they can meet the little one's needs and that the baby is safe or the toddler is safe while you're returning to work. It's very natural to have big emotions around leaving your child, right? Even if the child's safe, even if you know you need to work or you love your job, very biologically, like your insides might have a bit of a freak out moment, especially if the handoff is hard. If this little one cries, if the person you're handing the child to seems in any way uneasy or uncertain about this, you will feel big feelings about this. I can tell you that as a mom who has handed my child to a very safe caregiver, and she was crying and then I was crying, and it made the whole thing way more stressful. We've done some really great podcast episodes in the last couple of years that I can link below. We no longer have a podcast, but there is some really good stuff in there about doing that transition, especially to like a preschool teacher. I'd love to help you. If you want that resource, I'll help you with the handoff itself, but I just want you to be prepared for feelings of guilt and grief around the goodbye. I was watching a nature show one time and I felt so seen because the mom grizzly bear and the mom elephant and the mom moose all had very large reactions around anyone coming near the child that wasn't themselves. As a mammal, right? We are mammals. Leaving the little one makes you freak out a little bit. It makes you feel scared. It makes you feel a little on edge. Like, are you going to do a good job? You feel overly protective, feel anxious, or a little bit like OCD. One mom described it to me, like she just can't stop thinking about how this is going to go. It's very normal. I promise it will get easier. And it's important for this little one to have life opportunities too. So if you're returning to work and then this little one gets this awesome experience of going and getting to be in a daycare or a childcare or with a family member, and they maybe get to be around other little children or bond with another adult in your family, as much as you can comfort yourself by reminding your soul that this little one is having a very good experience and this will be very healthy and wonderful as they grow to be able to have that. I also will say this, a lot of parents that I talk to end up kind of reassessing what they want out of life after they return to work. So maybe they've been at their job for a month, 6 weeks, 2 months, and they're realizing like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this, or I don't know if these things that felt so important to me are still important to me. You're allowed to make changes in your life as you go. You don't need to know right now, before returning to work, how all of this needs to play out. You have full permission to make big life changes as you go. But the first thing you need to do is just make the transition back to work. Make sure that this little one is cared for safely and in a place that you feel comfortable. And then if down the road you decide you need to make some changes, you can do that. As a family, you can totally do it. I don't recommend that you do it kind of in a burst of emotion, like, okay, I'm gonna quit and I'm gonna move over here. I don't think that's going to be the best way to do it, but I do think you should go into this knowing you're allowed to change your life as many times as you need to. So don't try to predict miles down the road how all of this is going to play out. Just take care of the very next steps right in front of you. I wrote this as life hacks. I don't know if they're really that hacky, but a few things you want to think about is like, what's your backup childcare plan? If on the off chance the child is sick or the caregiver is sick, where does your little one go? It's good to have a backup plan, though you may not need to use it anytime soon. Second is, if you're a pumping mom, you want to ask your employer where you can pump. And legally, you're supposed to be provided with a place that is private and not a bathroom to be able to pump throughout the day. So you want to know what that place is and then be able to have a good pump that you like to use that's not stressful and makes the process as easy as it can be. My favorite pump is the Spectra, but also a lot of people like the hands-free pumps. I don't know, I'm pretty small up top and I felt like they didn't latch on as well as the Spectra. And so I just made the Spectra kind of my routine, my little ritual, and I had the drinks that I drank and the snacks that I ate, and I sat down and I watched something nice while I pumped, and I was able to make that a positive, enjoyable experience. So I recommend finding a pump that you like ahead of time. You probably already have. And then figure out with your employer what that's gonna look like. And then the life hack would just be preparing that ahead of time. So you've got your bag with everything you need, including snacks and drinks, because we wanna keep you fed and hydrated. And yeah, try and make that part of your day as seamless as possible. Prepping the night before could make your life easier, or even having something in the car for you that has like a change of clothes for you, like a change of shirt if you needed, change of clothes for your little one. I often would have like a diaper bag sort of setup that just stayed in my car because I'm pretty forgetful. That just gave me breathing room of like, if I forget the stuff I need inside of my bag, then I have it right there for me at all times. When it comes to your household and your relationship with your partner or any other family members in the house, this is going to be a time where you really want to communicate your needs as clearly as possible. We're not going to have people guessing what we need, especially because you look more capable than you are. People aren't going to guess you're struggling as badly as you might be struggling. So you really want to say what you need, or at least say, I don't know what I need, but I know what I feel. I feel overwhelmed. I feel scared. I need help managing the groceries or making the food. As much as you're able to make your own life easier, I recommend it, especially in the early weeks back to work, starting the childcare routine. If you can order food, or if you can make frozen meals, or I don't know, whatever is easy for you and also makes sense for the amount of income you have and the time that you have. I think this is not the time where you need to be the world's greatest chef and the greatest person at work and the greatest partner or parent. All of that can come in time. You're already awesome. Our goal here isn't to have a perfect transition. Our goal is to just be okay. And if any of you are feeling a little bit of strain or pressure or frustration in your relationship with your partner, with your spouse, with the child's other parent, I want you to know it's really normal. Statistically, most couples say that the first 3 years after having a baby, their relationship experiences a low. I'm telling you that because I didn't know that. And so when we struggled, I thought we were the only ones struggling because again, I didn't make it a priority to go connect with other parents and find out what they were going through. I just tried to fake it until I made it. But in all of the work I've been doing with parents now, I think it's really important that you recognize that this stage is a very heavy one on your relationship. It's good. Ultimately, it can strengthen your relationship and you guys can make it through this part into a really happy, beautiful part of your life. But because it's gonna be hard, because you guys are carrying more than you've ever carried before, and neither of you have ever done this, and you've never been parents together, and you've never had this many children together, sometimes when you want to connect, the first thing that will come out of your mouth will be the thing that is hard. You'll finally get time together and then you'll come out with, I'm stressed about this, or why haven't we figured this out, or something that sounds like a criticism to the other person. I definitely experienced this over and over again, where we would have time to connect and then it was like we were missing each other and we were hurting each other's feelings. And great, that was our little time to connect and it didn't even go well. So I recommend that if you're gonna have time together, yes, sure, you can have your little list of challenging things that you guys need to talk through as like co-managers of your house. But then at the same time, look for little cheat things you can do to connect with your partner. Sometimes for us, it would be like watching a funny show. There's a really great card. Oh my gosh, it's right here. Hold on. Okay, Esther Perel, who is a psychologist that I really love, she put out this card game called Where Should We Begin? And it just has little conversational prompts. I have these in my house and I was just given this for my birthday, but we will sit together and just ask each other the first one. So the first prompt here says, I still feel like I need to impress, and then you answer the question. The whole idea here is that you don't have to think that hard to start a conversation, but it keeps you connected. It keeps you curious about each other. You could do 2 cards. It doesn't even matter how long you spend, but it's an intentional way of connecting with this person who you love so much, but you guys both have so much on your plate that it might not be as easy in this stage to feel bonded to one another. Don't know if you're the journaling type, but I find it very helpful to ask myself, like on paper with words, what are my most important roles in this stage of my life, and who do I want to be for those people? Because this is a new beginning, right? Going back to work is a new beginning. So new beginnings are great new beginnings in the way that if you have one new beginning, it can often trigger momentum in other areas of your life. So you're going back to work, you might also feel like, oh, perfect, well then I need to get some new clothes for my job. Well, if I'm gonna get new clothes, I might wanna start walking more so I can feel better in my body before I put the clothes on. Well, if I'm gonna walk more, I might wanna drink more water and eat some more spinach, because then I'll really feel good. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's becoming this thing of not like I'm trying to be perfect in every area, but it's a very natural momentum that comes up. If you're the journaling type, I recommend using this new beginning as a prompt to help you look ahead and say, who do I want to be for the next, it could literally be the next month, who do I want to be? Okay, to my partner, I want to be present. To my children, I want to be present. I may not have that much time to be present with them, but that means that when I do have time with them, I want to find little windows where I can get on their level, I can do a snuggle, I can listen, I can play, whatever. And that is something I'm intentional about. Life isn't just going to happen to me. I'm going to show up with purpose. When I go to work, how do I want to be there? Oh, I want to be engaged. I want to be excited. I want to be confident. Regardless of how insecure I feel, I want to show up as someone who feels like I am equipped to be here. It's a gift that I get to be in this room with all of these people, right? So if you can set some intention, it creates like your North Star, where life feels a little overwhelming, you're feeling a little frantic, maybe frenzied, and then you go, no, I don't want to get caught up in social media noise or in some random person making me feel like I should say yes to this opportunity. No, in this stage of my life, for these particular roles, I want to show up like this. It'll help you know who to say no to and what to not waste your time on. Does that make sense? We're gonna wrap this up because we don't have that much time and I'm sweating. This transition is temporary. You guys are all adaptable and you will adjust. And especially if you're trusting your child to a caregiver who's done this before, it's going to be great. Like, they are probably so good at this. That's why you're trusting your little child to them. And all you have to do is overcome the initial hump of saying the goodbye and getting out the door, right? And so you can do this. You all will adjust and adapt. And as I always say, do what works until it doesn't. So if you're doing this and ultimately you're like, whoa, this is not working for our family, then guess what? You'll figure it out. But you have to just do it first. You have to try and give it some time to settle and then make decisions from there. If you're a mother looking for more support, I lead an online community for moms. I lead coaching calls every single week for moms in different parts of the world. I would love for you to join. If you are a mom or a dad and you want one-on-one coaching, if anything I talked about here, you're like, oh, I wish I could tell somebody about this, please schedule a call with me. I would love to help support you personally as you make this transition back. I know you're gonna do a great job, but it is overwhelming. There's a reason it's overwhelming. It's a huge change, and I know you can do it. But if you need more help, I'm right here. And I think that's all. You don't have to just survive this. You can thrive, and I really believe in you. And these little babies that you made, or this little baby you made, is so lucky to be yours. They are gonna get to watch you model a really healthy, beautiful life, and you're doing a great job. And if you're the type of parent who is looking up content about a change like this, oh my gosh, you're already a step above the rest of us. I never did that. I'm so thankful that you would do this. So anyway, I believe in you. Let me know how it goes. We'll see you soon. Okay, bye.